This video will be about my father, Vang, and his journey as a Hmong American immigrant from Thailand and a refugee from Laos. My father was born in 1970 during the start of the Vietnam War. He was born in a small Hmong village in the Sayaburi province of northwestern Laos, which bordered Thailand. My father was the second youngest of 5 siblings to a family of farmers. He lived in the village until age 5 in 1975, when the village elders received word that the U.S. had lost the war and pulled out their troops, and that Hmong people were now abandoned in Laos and facing persecution from the Vietnamese Communist forces for aiding the U.S. in the war. His village of 40 or so people began rushing to pack their belongings to flee and seek refuge in Thailand. His group walked for about a month, hoping to arrive in Thailand. During the day, they would walk, and when it started getting dark, they would set up small huts using sticks and banana leaves. And once the sun started rising again, they would continue walking. During their month-long trek, they faced harsh temperatures such as rain, storms, blazing heat, and cold night temperatures. They survived by eating what they could find in the jungle, such as animals, leaves, and bugs. When they arrived at the borders of Thailand, they were led by Thai officers and taken to the UNHCR office, the Office of the United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees in Thailand. After gaining refugee status, his group was put into a refugee camp where there were about 30,000 other Hmong refugees who had escaped Laos. The refugee camp was located at the foot of a mountain on the outskirts of Thailand. He ended up living in this camp from 1975 to 1990. Although they were provided refuge in the camps, the living conditions were not ideal. It was a small place that was crammed with people, and although there were schools, hospitals, and even jails, they were not given the appropriate support needed to handle a high number of people in a small space. The camp also had many strict rules. They were not allowed to leave the boundaries and were allowed only if they gained special permission. Everyone also had curfew at 9 p.m., and those who were caught violating any of these rules were caught and then either jailed or beaten. My father also noted that Hmong people faced constant discrimination in the camps from Thai people and the authorities. During his life in the camp, he attended school and worked at his family's restaurant. In his later teen years, he and thousands of other Hmong men joined a resistance group, where they went on missions to help the Hmong people who are still facing persecution in Laos by giving them supplies such as food and also leading them to safety. My father met my mother, Kuo Lee, in the camp and ended up marrying her in 1989. In 1990, he was notified that the UNHCR was no longer able to fund the camp. My mother, father, and paternal grandparents then packed up and boarded a bus to another camp in Bangkok. There they obtained their US visas and took classes for a couple months on the basic rules of the United States and how to survive there. After the couple months passed, the 4 of them boarded a plane and left to the US. When the 4 of them arrived in St. Paul, Minnesota, my father was age 20, and he knew little English but decided to enroll in Johnson Senior High School to get his degree. In 1991, my mother gave birth to my eldest sister, when my father was in his freshman year of high school. During his junior year, he got a job as a hearing aid technician to be able to support his family. Later, in 1993, he got a job in construction, which he continued until 2005. Living in the U.S., he faced constant discrimination, whether just in his daily life or in the workplace. Other things he struggled with living in the U.S. was his limited English and financial stability to support his family because his work options were limited because of his English skills. My father said that both the refugee process in Thailand and the immigration process in the U.S. were very similar. The only difference was the sense of urgency. When comparing living in the camps to living in the U.S., he said that he had little money or future in the camps, but knew that there was more hope in the U.S. His dream when coming to the U.S. was for his future kids to be successful and not have to live a hard life like he did. He also noted that one of the most important things he wanted to keep when coming to the U.S. was his culture and way of life.